Hello everybody, Corey here. In this video, we will be going over the trades and holdings of the 19 single stock ETFs. Please note that there are quite a few trades again today, so this will be a longer video to be able to get through all 19 ETFs, just like yesterday. And then I expect tomorrow we'll have more. But we'll see where we stand to see how many that will expire. Any of them that you see that will expire tomorrow, that just means there's going to be trades done on those for tomorrow. If they haven't already closed them out, honestly, I haven't even looked. But let's get started here. So I obtain data, make it readable, and present the data. I provide facts so that those that watch can use the information in addition to their research and knowledge of the funds to make their own decisions and opinions. I do not provide personal investment advice, and I'm not a qualified licensed investment or financial advisor. I'm an amateur investor. All information found here, including any ideas, opinions, views, predictions, forecasts, commentaries, suggestions, or stocks expressed or implied herein are for information, entertainment, or educational purposes only and should not be construed as personal investment advice. While the information provided is believed to be accurate, it may include errors and inaccuracies. Conduct your own due diligence or consult a licensed financial advisor or broker before making any and all investment decisions. Any investments, trades, speculations, or decisions made on the basis of any information found in my videos, expressed or implied herein, are committed at your own risk. YieldMax ETF risk information can be found on their website with all their definitions. But before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. This information, along with other details, is available in the prospectus. Please read the prospectuses carefully before making any investment. Investments involve risk, and principal loss is possible. Again, the risks are listed and defined on the YieldMax ETF website. Underlying security risk, derivatives risk, distribution risk, NAV erosion risk due to distributions, call writing strategy risk, single issuer risk, high portfolio turnover risk, new fund risk, liquidity risk, and non-diversification risk. Whew. That is a mouthful. So let's get started here. Okay, so we don't have any AMZ or AIYY trades. We're just going to jump right in. AIYY closed at $11.49 today, so it was up 9 cents. AI closed at $20.87. So we don't have any trades here. We do have our short call that expires tomorrow, so now we know we're at least going to have a trade for this one. We have a strike price of $21.50. We're 3% below that currently, and then we already have a short call for next week with a strike price of $22, and we're 5% under that. Then we have our synthetic position that's going to expire in a couple of weeks with a $22 strike price, and we're currently 5% under that. Now, as a reminder, if you haven't seen it before, in column A, B, and AC, these are brand new columns as of yesterday. So column AB is what the market value is, how it affects the stock price, right? So we see these big dollar amounts and everything else, but so what, right? What's the what behind it? And so what I've done in column AB, I have broken this down to what is the market value versus the outstanding shares and how that affects the stock price. So in this case, because the stock price is underneath that synthetic strike price, the stock is down 54 cents. And then, of course, if we look at the short call down there, all short calls will always cost 1 cent a share to close them out, okay? So please understand that. And then, of course, you see the one on the bottom. It says it's bringing the price down 8 cents. Yes, we are above the strike price or below the strike price. However, we have a longer time to get there. So that's the reason for the dollar amount there. Now, before I forget, if you're new, for your short call, you want to be underneath the strike price, and for your synthetic, you want to be above. So you really want the stock price to fall between the synthetic strike price and the short call strike price. So in this case, you can see that it's not within the synthetic, and short call, it's actually underneath that synthetic position, and that's why it's bringing the stock price down, according to column AB. Now, if we look at column AC, this is a work in progress. I don't know how accurate this is going to be. I really need to pay attention to this. Of course, right now, all the stocks are just tanking, but This is just saying there's a possibility that this stock could come up 58 cents based on the short call. And so this is going to be like this throughout this entire holdings. So we just get that explained right now. All right, so let's go on to AMD. AMD, we have no trades here. It closed at 17.17, and AMD closed at 155.08. Here we have two short calls that expire tomorrow, but we're underneath those by 6 and 10%. So those are looking okay. Of course, we have our synthetic that expires in a month. It's down 22 cents. 22%. And that is bringing the stock price down $4.94 because we are 22% underneath the strike price. And then if we look at our short calls over on the right, it's a possibility that our stock price could come up roughly $1.71. Yeah, I can see. Oh, okay, we got some trailing numbers there. Again, these are rounded, so that's why it seems like they may not exactly add there. The 2 and it's probably like 1 something, another one's 70 something. But anyway, again, this may or may not be accurate, so this is just a test at this point. And then we move on to AMZ. So AMZ, I believe we do have trades. Okay, I gotta stop this with my pen. And let's go over here. So AMZ closed out the short call that expires tomorrow with a strike price of $190. They paid 3 cents a share to close those out. So that was $3,825. And they went ahead and rolled 2,000 of those to a new strike price of $187.50 that will expire next week. So if we go over here, AMZ closed at $22.66. Amazon closed at $179.17. You can see here our new short call, the 2,000 contracts, and we also had a short call that expires tomorrow at $187.50. It's only for 75 contracts, but we're underneath those by 4%. And then we have our synthetic position that we're currently under 3%, which is bringing the stock price down about 63 cents. There is a possibility of upside of roughly $1 based on these two, but of course one will expire tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. Apple here, we don't have any trades. They closed at 16.28. Apple closed at 167.04. They do have the short call already for next week with a strike price of $172.50, and we're currently underneath that 3%. And then we have the synthetics that's strike price of $170, and we're underneath those 2%. So it's bringing the stock price down about 23 cents there. But there's a possibility of an upside of 52 cents for Apple for the short call in our test formula there. If we move on down to Coney closed at 23.38, and then coin itself closed at 218.03. I do believe we have to. No, maybe not. No, we do. Okay, so they did close out a short call that expires tomorrow with a strike price of $277.50. They paid 5 cents a share to close out 730 of them. And then they ended up buying in, adding to the synthetic position, and then creating a new short call that expires next Friday. And those were for 300 contracts. So we will see that on the holdings here. So you can see the 300 right there added. So let's scroll over. We have 3 short calls. 2 of those expire tomorrow. We have 262.50 and 270, and we're underneath those by 17 and 19%. And then our new one, which is our short call for next week with a strike price of 255. Then we have our synthetic position there with a strike price of 260, and we're underneath that by 16%. And as you can see, that is bringing down the stock price $4.33, because if we had to close out the synthetic position right now, it would cost us $72.8 million to do so. Now, based on those short calls and the strike price, there is a possibility of some upside there. However, those two, that first one with 12 cents and the second one with $4.28, those both expire tomorrow. Tomorrow is possibly the Bitcoin halving, but it may or may not be during any kind of trading hours. So not sure how that's going to work out for us there. So, all right, we're going to move on to Dizzo. I did write down all the trades, and then I left the piece of paper sitting on my desk, so I apologize. And at this point, I'm too lazy to go get it. All right, so Dizzo had no trades. Today they closed at 20.25. Disney closed at 112.43. They do have 4 short calls that all expire tomorrow with the strike prices of 115, 116, 117, and 118. So we're underneath all of those 2 to 5%. Then we have our synthetic position there. We're currently 6% below that, which is bringing the stock price down $1.27. There is a possibility of some upside on these. However, this stock isn't usually that volatile and doesn't have big swings, and these expire tomorrow, so I doubt we're going to get that roughly 78-cent upside. Again, though, these are just estimates and working formulas there. So we'll go down to Phoebe. We did see that we have trades, so let's look at those. So we have trades here. We closed out 2 short calls that expire tomorrow with the strike prices of 5.30 and 5.15. We paid 36 cents to close one out of share and $2.73 to close the other. So let's look. So Meta closed at, I don't understand, at 501.80 today. That we were way under the strike price. I say way. We're $15.30 or $14 or $30 underneath these strike prices. So I'm not sure why we had to close them out early. But anyway, they have new short calls now that will expire next week with the strike prices of $550. So they just rolled those to next week. All right, if we go back over here, we see Phoebe. They closed at 21.64. Meta closed at 501.80. And we already went over the trade. So we see our new short call there with the strike price of 550. And we're currently underneath that by 9%. And then we have 2 synthetic positions here, 515 and 525. And we're underneath both of those by 3 and 4%. So you can see that it's costing us roughly, it's bringing the stock down roughly 85 cents for those synthetic positions. And then this one expires next week. There is a possibility maybe of $1.90 on upside in our test formula. And then we have GUI. I think our next trade's JPMO. It is. All right, so GUI had no trades. Their stock price is today $17.40. Google was at $155.97. So they were 50 cents above their strike price, or above yesterday's price. And GUI went up 5 cents. All right. So 2 short calls that expire tomorrow. I don't know how we have so many still expiring tomorrow with all these trades the last couple of days. But anyway, they expire tomorrow. Strike prices of $157.50 and $160, and we're currently underneath those 1 and 3%. And then, of course, our synthetic of strike price of $150, we are over that by 4%. So I think this is the first one where we're actually positive. So you can see our synthetic position, we're actually up 75 cents there a share. And just a reminder that this stock price up here is adding all the synthetic data, not just that one line. So I know it may look off a little bit there because it's beside a negative number. However, let me zoom out. We have that. We have this price up here, and then we have the synthetic down here. All right, let's move on to JPMO, and we did have some trades. Let's see if we had any closing trades. We did not, so we can cover all of these on the holdings tab. So JPMO closed at 1961. JPM closed at 181.25. You can see that they added 85 contracts to the synthetic position and added to one of the short calls we already had with the strike price of 182.50. Then they created a new short call with some extra shares that they had left over, probably from yesterday, but that was 345. And then, so we have lots of these. Let's add all this up. We are 810 and 810. So they have used all of them. However, they're fixing to close out at least 60, 70, 80, 90 with those 3 short calls that expire tomorrow there. And it's weird. If you look at it, all the strike prices for this week that expire tomorrow are the exact same of all the strike prices for next week. 180, 182, 50, and 185. Now, the stock price is at 180, 125, so they're actually over the strike prices for the 180s by $1.25 there. And then we have our synthetic here. I don't even know why there's so many trades on JPMO. But anyway, oh, it just had earnings. Okay, I guess that makes sense, doing craziness. But then the strike price for the synthetic positions is 200, and we're underneath that 9%. So let's see how that affects us over here. So the synthetic position overall is causing the stock price to be down $1.93. I don't really follow this one, so I don't know. Was it at $21 before or something? If this one's bringing it down, I really don't even know. Anyway, and then we look down, we can see some of those short calls, bringing the stock down. Now, if we look at our short calls here and the possibility of some upside over there, maybe we could see roughly 9 cents. Of course, the ones for tomorrow, we'll actually have to pay to close those out in the end. So I'm not sure. Oh, that's the left side, sorry. All right. Ooh, I'm actually getting sleepy now. Let's move on to Murney. I know they had some trades. Let's see if they closed any out. They did not. So MSFO will be our next one. So let's go back over here. Murney closed at 1984. Moderna closed at 102. So they added 50 stocks or contracts to the synthetic position and 50. They created a new short call for next week with a strike price of $106. I'm sorry, let me zoom in. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, $106, and we're currently underneath that strike price by 4%. Of course, then we have our 3 short calls that will expire tomorrow with 107, 108, and 109, 5 and 6 underneath those by 5 and 6% there. Now, if we look over here at the dollar, of course, we see our synthetic position there is a strike price of 110, and we are underneath that by 7%, almost $7. And so that's actually bringing the stock down $1.47. And then, of course, it's showing down here at the bottom, there is the potential of at least the first 3 by tomorrow to possibly increase the stock price by roughly $1.20 with our new estimate column, which is still working. Not really sure if this is going to work out or not. I just don't know who all fast forwards through these, and then I don't know when I should say whatever if I have to repeat everything because somebody might have missed it, so I apologize if it seems like I'm repeating myself. But then we have MSFO today, 21.24, and Microsoft itself closed at 404.33, and then we did have trades listed over here. So MSFO ended up closing out their short calls with a strike price of 430 and 435. Let's see. And then that's all of them. So they actually rolled all of them. They only paid 2 or 3 cents a share to close those out, but then they rolled all of them to next Friday with a strike price of 432.50, which are currently underneath 7%. All right, so let's go over here to our holdings. MSFO closed at 21.24, Microsoft 404.33. Sorry if I already said that. We've already went over a trade there, and so we were short call the 432.50, which were under 7%, but then we also have the synthetic position with a strike price of 425 there, and you can see that's bringing the stock price down about $1. If we're looking at our estimate experiment column, it's possible that the stock could come up $1.38. And then if we move on to Misty, there were trades for Misty here, but none of them are closing, so let's move back over here. All right, so Misty closed at $30 today, and MicroStrategy closed at $12.08.16. They added 9 synthetic positions and created a new short call expiring next week for 1,400, which are currently underneath the strike price by 14%. We also have four short calls that expire tomorrow with the strike prices of 12.90, 15.05, 16.35, and 16.70. We are underneath those between 6 and 28%. If we go over to the right, we can see we're looking decent as far as the short calls, and then as far as the synthetic position, the stock price is actually up $1.50 due to that. Looking over the right with a possibility of going up, let's look. So our last one is for next week. The rest of these are for expiring tomorrow. So I doubt that, I don't know. I wish, but I doubt the stock could run $7 plus tomorrow. But we will see. I don't know. Again, these are just new columns that we're working with here. Netflix closed at $17.98. Netflix closed at $6.11.15. However, let's look at that real quick because they had earnings and I saw that they tanked or heard that they tanked. Did I click on the wrong one? I sure did. There we go. So I did Netflix. All right. We actually want Netflix. So this was pre-market, or this was during the day. We're looking at 610ish. Then the stock went up to about 620, 640. It looks like high, and then it came down all the way to $565, and now it's sort of settled at $581. So I say this because now I remember over here they closed out the synthetic positions with the strike prices of 680 and 685 that expire tomorrow, and they paid $445,000 to do so. I guess they thought the stock price was going to go up. Instead, it went down, and they paid all that money probably for nothing. But it is what it is, all right? So anyways, let's look. So they rolled all of those to next week, and they have a strike price of the 655, which they were under at the time. It was 7% at the close today. Squee. So let's go over to our holdings for Netflix. So I'd already went over the closed data. We went over that, and we see our short call. Of course, you see our synthetic also, which is a strike price of 635, and we're underneath that 4%. So as you can see, that's bringing the stock price down 62 cents there. And then it looks like there's a possible upside of $1.20 for the short call. Again, this is just a work in progress column. We'll check it, make sure it looks good. Then we have NVIDIA here, which closed at $25.73. NVIDIA closed at $846.71. We have no trades here, but we do have 2 short calls that expire tomorrow with the strike prices of 900 and 920 and 6.8%. We're currently underneath the strike price of the synthetic position by 5%. We can see over here on the right, overall, it looks like we're down $1.92 due to the synthetic and a possibility of about a $2 increase for NVIDIA itself for these short calls. And then we go to OARC. We have no trades here. It closed at 11.32. ARC closed at 42.91. They have a short call that expires next week with a strike price of $45, and we're currently 5% below that. Then we have our synthetic positions with a strike price of $50, and we are below that by 14%. So that is bringing the synthetic is bringing the stock down about $1.81. And then when we look at the synthetic here, or the short call, it looks like the possibility of an increase of 53 cents based on column AC, which is a working new estimate there. And then we go on to PayPay. We have no trades here. It closed at 18.31. PayPal closed at 62.10. They have a short call that expires tomorrow with a strike price of $64, but 3% below that. And they also have a short call that expires next Friday with a strike price of $65, and we're currently underneath that by 4%. And then our synthetic, we have a strike price of $65. We're underneath that by 4%. Which you can see in AB is actually bringing the stock price down by 77 cents. With our possible estimate column, or not estimate, but our column with possible movement, that the short call that expires next week could possibly bring the stock price up 79 cents. Then if we move on to SQUE, I did see trades there, so let's look. Okay, so they did close out one of their synthetic positions with a strike call of $80. They paid 3 cents to close those out. That was for 3,840 contracts, and they only wrote half of them to a new short call. So they're holding back the other half, but this new one expires next Friday with a strike price of 75, which we're currently under 4%. So let's go over to SQUE here. So SQUE closed at 21.87. Square closed at 73.51. We see our new short call there, and short call $75. We're currently underneath that by 4%. And then we have synthetics that are $80 strike prices. We're underneath that by 10%, which is bringing the stock price down $2.28. And then with our possible upside calculation for the short call, it looks like we possibly could go up another 86 cents. And this is for next Friday's expiration. So Tesla here, we have no trades. They closed at 13.61. Tesla closed under 150 at 149.93. If they had to close that synthetic out today, it would cost $94.4 million. And we'll see here. So our short call with a strike price of 175, we're underneath that by 14%. But our synthetic positions, those strike prices are 170 and 175. So we're underneath those by 12 and 14%. So if we look over the right-hand columns, it looks like the synthetics bringing Tesla down by $2 a share. And then if we look at our possible short call for next week, looking at possibly increase of $1.95 in share price, but we will see. Zomo here, we did have trades on this one, so since we have an ad, we probably had to close out. So let's look. Yeah, so Zomo closed out 2 short calls with the strike prices of 121 and 123. They paid 11 and 3 cents to close them out, and then they opened up a new synthetic position expiring next week with the same amount of shares. Oh, I did not mean to do that. All right, so if we go over to our holdings here, all right, if we look at Zomo here, they closed at 18.11. Exxon closed at 118.52. We can see our new trades there, but our short calls don't expire until next week. Straight price of 121 and 122. We're currently underneath those 2 and 3%. And our synthetic position, we're currently under that 1%, which is bringing the stock down 26 cents. Our new short calls for next week here, it looks like I'm estimating a possible upside of 45 cents. So then we have YMAG here. It closed at 19.34. And then we have YieldMax down here that closed at 19.85. And I did look, and YieldMax still does not have Misty in it. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I know this is long, but it is a lot of ETFs, and it just would not be efficient for me to break out each ETF in its own video. It's a lot easier just to do all of them in one setting. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great day tomorrow, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.